Tiffany here from Tiffany Gordon Cosplay, and here yet again is another cosplay tutorial. This one is for how to make Klee's Backpack from the game Genshin Impact. And before we get into the build, a big thank you to my Twitch sub community, for this was a one-day prop build that my Twitch community got to vote and choose what to make. So we made this, and it took me 8.5 hours to make live on Twitch. So consider supporting on Twitch to choose my next cosplay build. Now, let's get started. And of course, I have a pattern to help you make your own Klee's Backpack, and it's available on my website, www.tiffanygordoncosplay.com, or see the link below. I first started off by tracing all of the main parts of this pattern onto 4mm EVA foam, and then cut out these pieces with an X-Acto knife. And for smaller detailed trim parts, I used 2mm EVA foam. And for attaching these detail pieces on to your main backpack parts, I used contact cement glue, applying it to both pieces that I wanted to attach together, waiting for them to fully dry, and then you can attach. And once all of the main pieces of this were attached, I then took it to my workbench where I used a sanding drum to flatten all the edges and then round it. Now to talk about the actual fire emblem that's on the backpack. And for this, I used 10mm EVA foam and used the COS Tools circle cutter to cut the size of the circle that I would need. And this piece I would then take to my workbench and round all the edges so it looked more like a half dome. And for the border part, I cut that part out of 4mm, and then the flame and the smaller pieces of the detail parts I cut out of 2mm EVA foam. Starting off by attaching the small wing parts underneath the trim, and then attaching the flame part to our dome. And once those pieces were done, I then could attach them to the backpack. First starting with the flame piece and then putting the trim part on top of that. And here's what it should look like when it's done. Now for the decorative backpack straps. For this, again, I used 4mm EVA foam, tracing the main shape of the strap piece and then cutting it with an X-Acto knife. For the rivet parts of the backpack, I used COS Tools hole drill kit, using their largest one to cut all of the circle pieces, and then switching to their smallest one to cut out the center. This way you'd make little Cheerio pieces. I then traced where they were going to go onto these straps, and then attached them with contact cement glue. For the lace-up part of the backpack straps, I cut strips of 2mm EVA foam and then cut them into smaller little rectangle pieces. And again, we're going to use contact cement glue to attach them. And a little trick to help you with applying glue to all of the small pieces, use your tape so it's upside down and stick them all to that, and then you can apply the glue, let it dry, and then peel them off. For the bottom part of the backpack straps, the little detail part, we're going to be using 4mm EVA foam, and for this I'm going to be stacking 3 pieces together for each side. 2 that are going to be the shape that is going to be of the piece, and 1 that is going to be a piece just to separate them together in a moon shape. This is going to allow you in the end to insert the backpack strap in between both the pieces. And of course, don't forget about the little detail pieces. Once all of the pieces were together, I could then round our pieces with a sanding drum, attach them together with contact cement glue, and they should look something like this. For the belt buckle, I cut out the shape out of 10mm EVA foam, as well as the little hook part, and then sanded all of the edges so they were round. And the last part of these backpack straps is to attach the belt buckle and the bottom detail piece, and then you're done with them. And here's how it should look. Now for the side parts of the backpack. This part was probably one of the more simple parts of this backpack. Just cutting out all of your shapes from either 4mm for the main parts, and for the details 2mm, and then just attaching them all together with contact cement glue. And now that it's all assembled, you can heat treat each of the pieces with a heat gun. And here is how it should look. Now to start assembling all of our pieces. And for this, I first started off by applying lots of contact cement glue, don't forget your respirator, onto the back of our backpack straps, as well as to where they were gonna lay on the front half of the backpack. It should align basically where the holes are for the top part of the actual backpack straps. And once that was attached, I did a heat treat onto all of these pieces of the foam. At this point, this is how all of your pieces should look. Also, I didn't go over, but the actual straps for your backpack, I cut also out of 4mm EVA foam, and you'll see that in this picture. And for the backpack straps, I ended up attaching them so it went from the outside to the inside of the backpack part, applying glue to both pieces to attach. I'm only attaching the straps on these sideways part ones first. I also went and cut a rectangle shape out of 10mm EVA foam. This is the same size as the bottom part of our backpack. And this is gonna help to reinforce so that way it stays in this shape and doesn't bend and get floopy. Now for attaching the sides of the backpack. And for this, I applied contact cement glue onto the inside part of our backpack, as well as to the edges of the side pieces. Side note, don't apply contact cement glue to the top half of this because you want your backpack to open. And for attaching it, I started with where it would sit on the inside of the backpack, starting at the top, slowly working my way down to the bottom, and then doing this on the other side. You will want to do both pieces at the same time so that way you can have an even look to both pieces. And then slowly starting to wrap the backpack pieces around the side pieces. And the very last step for this, for attaching, is going to be the top half of our backpack straps. The reason for doing this last is so that way you can adjust the length of your straps. So at this point, pull them through the strap holes. And then if you need to, you can remove more of the EVA foam if you want the backpack to sit higher on your back. And when you're happy with where it's gonna sit, apply contact cement glue to the top part of your strap, as well as to the inside of the backpack bag, and then attach them. And you're basically done at this point, but because this is EVA foam, your foam is probably gonna be laying flat at this part. So to make it so your top flap will go over the backpack, use a heat gun to apply heat where you want it to bend, and once it is hot, you can then bend it over and let it cool in that position, and then your flap will look awesome and your backpack is done! And this is how it should look! Dun, da, da, dun. Thank you guys for watching this how to make video for Klee's backpack from the game Genshin Impact. Stay tuned for the painting tutorial coming soon, as well as a separate tutorial for making the little keychain for the Dodoco furry critter that hangs on it. So yes. And as always, if you found this tutorial helpful, let me know in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you next time. Much love, guys!